Greetings, this is Paul the Poke from paulthepoke.com. Today's topic, Abraham Accords signed. So that was yesterday, September 15, 2020. Scripture references Psalm 122, verse 6, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they be secure who love you. So, Dateline, Washington, D.C., September 15, 2020. United States President Donald Trump hosted Bahrain Foreign Minister Abdullatif al-Zayani, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and the United Arab Emirates Foreign Minister Abdullah bin Zayed bin Sultan al Nahyan for the signing of the Abraham Accords at the White House. So the Abraham Accords were signed in Hebrew, Arabic, and English. Now, the main point of this, I just wanted to get you guys some the raw feed, raw quotes, raw video, something that's not filtered by our modern day news media and their spin and whatever. But this is what actually happened. This is unedited. It's just cut and pasted. Here are the events. Watch it. I think the raw video of the event below from the YouTube link is provided by the U.S. State Department. I think it's about 45 minutes. So I know some of this stuff is going to take some time, but at least it's there and you can see what actually happened without somebody doctoring the documents. And yes, they do that. And I know some of you out there, oh, you're just being paranoid and whatever. You're being monkeyed with, even if you don't want to believe it. Also, there's the link to the State Department for more of their raw, unedited video, and also provided some copies. Here's the Abraham Accords Declaration. This is the actual document with the signatures of the four dignitaries below. And we, the undersigned, recognize the importance of maintaining and strengthening peace in the Middle East and around the world based on mutual understanding and coexistence, as well as respect for human dignity and freedom, including religious freedom. We encourage efforts to promote interfaith and intercultural dialogue to advance a culture of peace among the three Abrahamic religions and all humanity. So yes, let's all come together under Father Abraham, the Muslim, the Jew, and the Christian. He is the father of these religions and these peoples. And he will continue to be, this is Bald Guy's interpretation and understanding of this, he being Abraham will continue to be the common bond that will drive this, from a political standpoint. They're all going to go back to the bond that is Father Abraham. So, I'm going to skip around on some of this stuff. We support science, art, medicine, and commerce to inspire humankind, maximize human potential, and bring nations closer together. We seek to end radicalization. So that's a direct shot at Iran and some of their Shia proxies, and conflict to provide all children a better future. And here we go. This is the part that, any of you folks who are following the scriptures, this statement should make you a little nervous. We pursue a vision of peace, security, and prosperity in the Middle East and around the world. I mean, it's like, let's quote 1 Thessalonians. So at any rate, these are the Abraham Accords. These are the principles of the Abraham Accord, and you have the four signatures below. Also, I have a link provided by the whitehouse.gov. This is the Abraham Accords Peace Agreement, Treaty of Peace, Diplomatic Relations, and Full Normalization between the United Arab Emirates and the State of Israel. You can click there for the signed document. I think we've looked at part of that. It's a brief outline, but this is also going to get into, they've agreed to establishment of peace, diplomatic relations, and normalization, general principles, establishment of embassies, peace and stability, cooperation and agreement in other spheres, which include healthcare, science, technology, peaceful uses of outer space. Oh, don't tell me we have some nasty things taking place in outer space. Apparently we do. Tourism, culture, sport, energy, environment, education, maritime agreements, telecommunications and post, agriculture, food security, water. The water will be a big deal because there's not much water in that part of the world. And legal cooperation, mutual understanding, coexistence. And here we go again. The parties undertake to foster mutual understanding, respect, coexistence, and a culture of peace between their societies in the spirit of their common ancestor, Abraham. I'm telling you, you're going to hear a lot about Abraham, and I'd recommend you folks go back to Genesis and read Abram of Ur and follow that guy's life from where God called him. And just take a good hard look about what God says about Abram, who became Abraham, and his children, because that's where this all goes back to. It's the one thing they all have in common. Whether it's from the line of Ishmael or from the line of Isaac, that's where it all begins, is Abraham. Strategic agenda for the Middle East, other rights and obligations, respect for obligations, ratification and entry into force, settlement of disputes. If there's any disputes, shall be resolved by negotiation. Translation, we're not going to shoot at each other. Weapons, war, no, we're going to talk about it. And registration, this treaty shall be transmitted to the Secretary General of the United Nations, for registration in accordance with the provisions of Article 102 of the Charter of the United Nations. And it tells where it's done, who participated, finance, investment, civil, tourism, innovation, trade, economic relations, and it gets into more specifics as you scroll down through this. So again, quite a bit to read if you want to check that out. And then we have a statement, Abraham Accords Declaration of Peace, Cooperation, and Constructive Diplomatic and Friendly Relations between Israel and the Kingdom of Bahrain, which was agreed to September 15, 2020. And so that's the agreement between Israel and Bahrain. Again, the signatures, Netanyahu and Foreign Minister Abdullatif al-Zayani. His Majesty King Hamad, which his name's kind of interesting. King Hamad bin Isa, son of Isa. Isa is the Muslim name for what they call Jesus. Bin Salman al-Khalifa, son of Salman al-Khalifa. Just a little breakdown of some Arabic. And if you want to see that, I'll click on this. I don't know if you guys are going to pick up any of the sound. They're just signing, and this lady's passing around the documents. Some of them, again, were in Arabic. Some were in English, and some were in Hebrew. It's pretty funny to watch. For those of you who watch this, Netanyahu's the only one who knows all three languages. Some of these other two, like Trump and this guy over here, where's my name in Arabic? Where's my name in Hebrew? Where's my name in English? So anybody who watched the live feed, some of them couldn't recognize the other languages and they needed assistance from each other to sign the documents. And she's passing the documents around. I think that's the highlight of it. It's about 1 minute and 16 seconds. So nothing real exciting. And there were some quotes from each of the dignitaries. This day is a pivot of history. It heralds a new dawn of peace, and that's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. Peace requires courage, and shaping the future requires knowledge. And this is Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan of the United Arab Emirates. And we have come today to tell the world that this is our approach. Also, we have a quote from Abdullatif bin Rashid al-Zayani of Bahrain, and he said, today is a truly historic occasion, a moment of hope and opportunity for all the peoples of the Middle East. And President Trump weighed in, the people of the Middle East will no longer allow hatred, of Israel to be fomented as an excuse for radicalism or extremism. And after decades of division and conflict, we mark the dawn of a new Middle East. And again, that's President Trump. And those quotes were taken from whitehouse.gov, 1600 daily. You can click on that. He puts out his spin every day of what's going on or what he sees as important. Now, this was very interesting. Prior to the signing ceremony, President Trump commented on the momentum of peace in the Middle East. And I quote from President Trump, "We're very far down the road with about 5 additional countries. Frankly, I think we could have had them here today. We'll have at least 5 or 6 countries coming along very quickly. They want to see peace. They've been fighting for a long time. They're warring countries, but they're tired of fighting. You're going to see a lot of very great activity, according to Trump. And it's going to be peace in the Middle East. Most of the countries in the Middle East want to sign this deal." So he initially said 5, maybe 6, and then later, after the signing ceremony, he went on to up the ante and say there were up to 9 countries looking to normalize relations with Israel. And that's from the timesofisrael.com. Trump says Saudi Arabia among the 7 to 9 countries expected to make peace with Israel. Now, this is just conjecture on my part, but I think a lot of that was Saudi Arabia is pending on the king, the old man. And I don't think you're going to see anything really happen until he passes. That's just my opinion. Take it or leave it. That old guard would probably be pretty shocked to come to understand that they would sign a peace deal with Israel during their lifetime. But we'll see. Who knows? I mean, this whole thing's been unpredictable. You know, in the last quote I have, well, before I get to the last quote, I know a lot of people, I'm getting a lot of blowback and feedback from people. Trump's the Antichrist. This is Daniel 9:27 that's happening. And this is we better watch it. All hell's breaking loose in the middle of this week. So here we sit, and I've received predictions from many people about how the world's going to explode today and tomorrow. We're still here. And I would remind everybody, to take a look at Daniel and then take a look at Revelation. We have a 10-nation federation, Daniel statue with the 10 toes of iron and clay. That's not here yet. And we don't have 10 leaders representing this most vicious of world empires. And we haven't had a man usurp 3 of them and take control of the whole thing. So there are several things that have not happened yet. And until those happen, until we have a 10-nation federation or a 10-nation group of leaders or 10 leaders who claim to represent this coalition, we're not there yet. And I know that's not sensational. That's not exciting. It's not going to draw clicks, but we need to read the text. We need to understand what it says. And until that happens, Revelation talks about it too, the 10 horns. Until we have that happen, there's no point in getting excited about this. I mean, it is historic. Don't kid yourself. It is very important. And we will take a look at 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 3. While people are saying there is peace and security, then sudden destruction will come upon them as labor pains come upon a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. So I would take it that we will see labor pains as this thing grows. So we've just had a peace signing and a peace agreement. There's going to be a labor pain that follows. And then there's going to be more countries, 7 to 9 more countries. And then we're going to have more labor pains, and they're going to be a little bit more intense. And this thing's going to continue to build and grow until we reach a point where there will be a 10-nation federation or a 10-nation organization, 10 leaders representing some group run by a committee. And they'll do some things, and there'll be more labor pains. And then somebody's going to come along who's going to take out 3 of those 10 and take control of the 10, and then it's going to be on. So this thing's just going to build with intensity. Now, how long is it going to take before we get there? I have no idea. May take 10 years, may take 50. I don't know. I would say, but, using the analogy of a pregnant woman, as the time comes closer, these things, pregnant women have labor pains that are closer together and stronger. It doesn't get stretched out. Things get compressed. So the bottom line, be alert, be ready, be on watch. There's nothing that keeps Christ from coming and getting his church, the bride. Resurrection event first, then the rapture. Everybody talks about the rapture. Don't forget, Scripture mentions the resurrection first. Then those of us who remain will be caught up in the air, in the clouds with them. So we'll see the resurrection of the dead, then the rapture. Now, how long is that between those two events? It just says then. We'll meet them in the clouds. So it could be, a few minutes, few seconds, could be a year, could be 6 months. It doesn't say. It just says then. It says next. So bottom line, be alert, pay attention, keep your eye on the Middle East, keep your eye on Israel. That's where all the action's at. So appreciate you guys following along. If you are interested in this, please feel free to direct others to paulthepoke.com, and you can sign up here, follow Paul the Poke, following Paul the Poke. Click on the blue bar. Gray bar's missing today. Don't ask me why it shows up. And when it does show up, doesn't show up, you can also type your email address in there, receive notifications. And also, this will be categorized under Peace Plan. And we will go down on the far right column of the blog. Just to give you an idea, you can click on Peace Plan, and there's all kinds of stuff going back at least 10 plus years. We've been doing this for 10 plus years. And I'm also thinking about some of the news flow coming out of the world is just so crazy, and there's so much taking place. I may just start doing spots where I line up about 4 or 5 news articles stuff I see on Twitter. For example, this was today. The West Coast is not the only place on the planet that's burning. Brazil has got enough smoke in the air that their skies kind of look like ours. So South America has its own issue with a whole bunch of fire, wildfires, and smoke. COVID-19 appears to be getting ready to tick back up a little, maybe on the verge of another wave of COVID. I had to laugh at this. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi was on CNBC with Mad Money's Jim Cramer, and he slipped and called her Crazy Nancy on air. I mean, that's not very nice. It's not very polite, but it was very funny to watch that whole thing go down. It happened. There's our Abraham Accords. We got a locust swarm in Siberia. There's that right there. Their locusts are taking over, swarming Siberia as well. And then there's a previous post that I had, Rosh Kadesh, head of the month. I know some of you guys have already seen that. Erdogan sparring with France's Macron, lecturing him, don't mess with Turkey, getting tough. By the way, all you economic folks out there who follow a lot of Michael DeVille stuff, I'm sure you've seen this. The Turkish lira is breaking down against the dollar. And the concern with that would be is all these emerging markets and their currencies, they all tend to kind of move in unison. And so all their debt is denominated in dollars. Could be in a world of hurt if we get an uptick in the buck, but we'll see. Don't know what's going on with the dollar. We're kind of sitting here holding place till we get some direction with the elections. I'm not expecting a whole lot to happen between now and November, and then we'll see what happens. So lots of things going on in the world. Appreciate everybody who follows along. Please feel free to share with others. Get the word out. Time's closing down. We're winding down. Yep. This man called Jesus is going to drop out of the clouds, and he's going to grab a whole bunch of people. Some dead. They're going to change over, come out of the graves. Not your zombie apocalypse you were expecting. And then some of us are just going to disappear and transfer clothes, be left on the ground, and we're going to be up in the clouds. So appreciate y'all following along. Take her easy. Bye.